Hi friends, and welcome to Cat's Corner. I'm your host Cat, and this is episode 9. And it is, what's today's date? March the 9th. That is the date. March the 9th. You can find me on Ravelry as Cat Straight or Board Game Geek as Moraine A. Sedai. All that will be linked to in the show notes. Going to first start off by encouraging you to join our Ravelry group. I have 2 giveaways going on right now. One for the 50-member milestone, which is there's two prizes basically. One is for a random drawing, and the other one is for a friend of that person. So there will be a random drawing at the 50-member milestone, and you will get a hand-carved yarn ball stamp. It looks like this. And then that member will get to choose a friend within the Ravelry group to get another stamp, which if you haven't been watching recently, my son messed that one up. We were gone for over a week, and I haven't had a chance to get a new one of those. So next week that'll be done. I've been preoccupied with other projects right now, but it will be done. But the previous one looked like this right here. So it'll be similar in style. They were freeform, free hand carved, whatever you want to call it. And so it won't look exactly the same, but it'll be done soon. So that is that one. So 50-member milestone, hand carved stamp. Oh, trying to put it so it doesn't fall and not fall out of the chair. Well, 50-member milestone, that'll be drawn. And so the next item up for grabs, let me pull up the rules. There is a thread opened in the Ravelry group for the Cat's Corner podcast, and it is for 2 skeins of Capistrano Fiber Arts yarn. We've already had 2 members post. Rules are pretty simple with most other podcasts. So you have to be a member of the group. Then you have to do one of the following, or you can do both and get more entries. You can go to Capistrano Fiber Arts Etsy shop on Etsy. Oh, my brain. I always say that, huh? Okay. But you can go to her shop on Etsy and post in the thread what you like from her shop. So you get 1 entry for that. You can get multiple entries the next way. If you invite friends to join the Ravelry group and they post in there that you told them about it and to join, then you'll get an entry for each friend that goes and does that. That friend can also get an entry by going and inviting friends or posting something that they like from the Capistrano Fiber Arts Etsy shop. I will close the thread on March 30th. It's going to be a little over 3 weeks, so you have plenty of time. I was going to try and do 2 weeks, but the 2 weeks mark hit at the time that I'm going to be having my son and my nephew's birthday party. So that week will probably not get recorded at all, unless it's just a little pop in to say hi, because I'm going to be stressed and cleaning and cooking. So March 30th, that'll close. I'll close it right before I start the video. So join the group, get prizes. Once I announce the winner, they'll have a month to contact me and claim the prize. If not, then I'll be redrawing. So just pay attention. the yarn, which you'll have a better view of it today instead of a couple days ago, since I'm all set up. No randomness today. Well, there'll probably be randomness, but it's not a random video. But this is what you get. You get 2 skeins, and see how that looks really pretty. It's almost pretty true. It's a little bit more peachy colors, but it's pretty close. But the yarn is 100% superwash merino. It's hand dyed, and each skein is approximately 160 yards. So you'll be getting 2, so you'll be getting about 320. And you can make something fun and share it with us. So get your entries in for that. And put that off to the side. And let's see, I need to go back, I think. I think I got all that done. Okay. I'm going to show you a couple things that I tried to show you a couple days ago. And since the lighting was bad, I'm just going to show them up real quick. So these were the stitch markers that you can now see very well. Kirk and Spock. So, yay. And I actually have the Star Trek bag that I mentioned a couple days ago. So this was it. I'll talk about it a little bit more in a little bit. But there's a lot to cover, so I'm going to try and hop in. I haven't gotten to talk to y'all too much lately, so what we did was we went to Oregon for a week to visit Nate's dad and his stepmom. And we did all kinds of fun things, hit 3 yarn stores, attempted to hit 2 other ones, but they were closed, which would have been very evil, because I would have bought even more stuff. Went to a quilt shop, tons of used bookstores, a couple different pals, lots of eating out, went and saw some scenes. We went out to the ocean. So let's see. I'll just get you a couple little pictures. This is at the Gorge. It's a pretty little double waterfall, and the little boy had plenty of fun. Let's see. This was at the beach. It was pouring raining and super windy, and he did not like it all that much. If his hat blew off, he would start screaming because he didn't like the wind in his ears. And this was at the condo that we stayed at. Let's see. Some restaurant pictures. That's Mommy and him. Not usually very many pictures of me with him because I'm usually the one taking the pictures. That was at the aquarium. Love the seals and the sea lions. I think I got a picture of the octopus too. Let's see. Yeah, he got to see the octopus. I got a really cool picture though. Can you see it? It was pretty awesome. So he loved the aquarium. Let's see if there's anything else. Real quick, like, I'm trying to go fast. But, oh yeah, we did, while we were going to the aquarium, if you're a beer lover, we, didn't know it, but we ran into the Rogue headquarters. Rogue Beer. Let's see. And this was, let's flip it. That was one of their vans sitting out in the parking lot. And that was the truck. And let's see. Oh. And the silo. And if we had known it was there, we would have made plans to stop there too. But we didn't know it was there, so we just got to see the outside. We tried to go into the Headland Museum, but it was closed, of course. While we were leaving the parking lot, we realized that it looked like there was a little pub there. But it wasn't quite lunchtime yet, so we just... Next time we go up to Oregon, we are visiting the Rogue Brewery headquarters. We were doing it, and we were eating at the pub, and we were going to the museum. Because gosh darn it, Rogue is good. So, little beer side. Amy, if you're watching, Oregon, Rogue. Okay. Oh yeah, we also went to a Lego store. It was a huge Lego store. What was it called? Bricks and Minifigs, I think. So that was pretty neat. I've never seen a Lego store before, so just lots of eating out. We've realized that Linus is super big into live music. At one of the restaurants we went to, he was starting to act up really, really bad, and we noticed that, you know, they were fixing to start singing, and as soon as the girl started to play her guitar and started to sing, he was just like all blinders to everything else and just staring at her. And every time she would get close to ending the song, he would go, "More song! More song! More song!" So it was hilarious. So yeah, we're going to have to be taking him to more live music places. Okay, so I'm not going to talk about the yarn stores until I get into my stash acquisitions, because I bought stuff. I bought a lot of stuff. So, let's do finished objects first. I am wearing 2 finished objects that I did on my trip. Didn't think I'd do that. This was my plain crocheting. This is from the Ostentatious Crochet book. It is the Gazing at Stars with Edmund. I don't know if it's a shawl, or they consider it a shawl or a scarf. I think it's more of a shawl. It calls for a K hook. I used a J. I didn't have a K hook, and I had already bought needles like the week before. So I went with a J, which I'm fine with because it was super big in the picture, and I didn't want it that big. So it's smaller. And it's not to keep you warm or anything, it's just to look pretty. But let me take it off and show you. So it's just a bunch of these little star motifs. And you do 3 of these cool little star things. So that is that. It was I didn't know if they would, even though it says you can bring knitting needles on the plane, I wasn't sure if the TSA people were going to be a little extra ornery or anything, so I'm like, I'm just going to stick with the crochet hook. I don't want my expensive needles to get taken or anything, and if I have to toss out the crochet hook, I didn't care because they're really old, so it didn't bother me one bit. But I didn't think I'd get this completed at all. I thought maybe I'd get all the little star motifs completed. Well, by the time we left the plane going up to Oregon, I had all but maybe 3 or 4 stars total that I had to do. I think I had I just had the big ones left. I just had the big stars left to do. So it needs to be, I already blocked it once. I need to block it again because I don't have like blocking mats or anything. So I just try and pin it as best I can so I can't get a good stretch on it. But it'll stretch out a little bit more. It's almost my wingspan. It's fine. It's just for decoration for me because it doesn't usually get all that hot at all anyways. So that is the Gazing at Stars with Edmund, which I titled it Oregon Stars because it was from my Oregon trip. The yarn I used was Crystal Palace Yarns Gold Rush, and it is in the colorway color 1003. So it's all these cute purples and pink purplies and greens and blues and stuff with some gold tinsel in it. Well, I was almost finished this project, and I only brought 2 projects to work on. I brought this and a pair of socks. I was almost finished this. My husband left my jacket at the house, so I was freezing. Luckily, I brought a lot of big sweaters to wear. But I didn't have my little hood on my jacket, so I was almost finished with this. I had extra balls of yarn. I only used like almost 2 balls of yarn when it says it's supposed to use like, it was supposed to be 3 of them. It's probably because I made it small, so much smaller than it's supposed to be. So I had like almost a ball and a 4th left, so I made a hat to go with it, which was just a couple hours, kind of like a standard hat that I make. I did take it off so you can see, to kind of keep with the theme of my hair, the stars. This is my Oregon Stars hat. I did the 10-point star on the top, and then just added some double crochet to finish the hat off, so it was nice and loose and snug and big. And okay, am I fixed? I think I'm fixed. So that was my hat. I've had some people say it looks like an Easter egg, but I like it. It's cute. So I did that. Other finished object, and it's only a finished object because I got so sick of it that I was just like, I'm done. Just done. Are my socks. Oops. The pattern, I called them my Stormy Oregon Ocean because it was so stormy while we were there, and I started the socks. Oh no, I think I started it before we went to the ocean. But it's supposed to be the Super Simple Short Sock by Megan Holcomb. Yeah, they're not short socks. I mean, they're barely even socks, okay? But, and it's pretty much just a simple sock. And then you did this really cute little pattern on the heel, which is a free Ravelry download, by the way. And then you did like this, I don't remember if she called it a twisted ribbing or I don't know. Well, I had like a super braid fart while I was finishing up the first sock. I didn't go up high enough on the heel. For some reason, my brain just said, okay, I'm done with the heel. Let me do the cuff and bind off. Well, after I bound off and I tried it on for fit and stuff, I was like, oh yeah, I didn't do that right. I was supposed to go up higher. I don't know what in my right mind was thinking, but so I was like, okay, I'm just going to leave it. I'm going to start on the next sock because I wasn't sure if I was going to have enough yarn to start off with to do both socks anyways. So I was like, I'll just leave it. It'll be like a little slipper sock type thing. And I'll do the next one. If it looks like I'll have enough, then I'll rip out and pick up and finish it off. Well, yesterday I finished the heel. I was starting to go up to do higher, and I was just so sick of it. I don't know what it was, but I think it's because these colors aren't really me, even though the yarn feels wonderful. I love the yarn. It's not really, I love blues, but it just, I don't know. I was sick of it. So I was like, okay, I'm binding off their slipper socks. I don't care. So these are, I mainly did them because for practice. Trying to figure out what amount of, oh, excuse me, hold on. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Trying to figure out the right amount of stitches I feel right on my foot for the size needle I want, and still trying to figure out which heel I like best. This was I did a Fiegel heel again. which I think I'm going to try something else next time. Did Judy's Magic Cast On, magic looped it, one sock at a time. Which I was trying to figure out how to do 2 at a time, but I didn't have the patience to research it. So I just stopped and did one. But, so those are my oopsie socks now. My oopsie slipper socks, that one of them I bound off too tightly on too, so it cuts into my ankle. But I don't care. I'm sick of these socks. I'm done. Okay, so those were my 3 finished objects, my 3 FOs. What am I working on? Technically, I'm only working on one thing. I'm fixing to cast on a second item and a third item. Which the third item I'm not quite sure of. But I'll save the one that I am working on. And I will show you the beautiful bag too in a little bit. It's not the mess up part. I think the mess up part is right there. Okay, so it'll be away from the camera. So from some recommendations in the forums, because I had never done a shawl before other than this, if you call this a shawl. To me, it's just a pretty accessory. It's like a necklace. But, let me see. Let me see who it was that recommended it to me. Oh, come on, work. That way they get a little shout out, right? It was Phoenix Fire. So Phoenix Fire, I am going to be fixing to cast on as soon as I am done recording and all that. I'm going to be working on the Simple Yet Effective Shawl by Lord Chow, something like that. What I will be using is some super chunky stuff. The Nashu Paradise in the colorway Lavender, which is like this nice soft fuzzy thing. The Simple Yet Effective Shawl, it has stripes up. So what I'm going to do is this is going to be like a little small ridge in between my other colors. So, because I don't want it to be too poofy fluffy. I just want this as like a little oomph. So this is, I'm going to add probably a little bit extra to the ridge, the stripe rows, and this will wind up going in there in between the other 2 colors. So the other colors I'm using is the Southwest Trading Company's Phoenix, which is 100. Oh, I didn't tell you what this was made out of, huh? And I didn't even tell you about the socks. I was so upset with the socks that I didn't even tell you. The socks I used, which the yarn was nice. The socks weren't doing it for me. It was Brown Sheep Company's Wildfoot Luxury Sock Yarn, which is 75% washable wool, 25% nylon, and the colorway was Brilliant Bouquet. This yarn, the fluffy purple, it is 48% wool, 48% baby alpaca, and 4% nylon. So that's going to be paired with the Southwest Trading Company's Phoenix, which is 100% soy silk, and this is in the colorway Parrot. So lots of pretty colors, and that is really true to color. I have really good lighting right now. So we have that. And then the third color is another Southwest Trading Company Phoenix, 100% soy silk, in the colorway White. Which is not really a white, it's more of like an off-white to me. So it'll be that color, a bump of this. This color, a bump of this. This color. That's how I'm going to do it. So that is the project that is fixing to be cast on. It says it needs size 11 needles, which I don't think I have circulars for, but we'll see. I do have some really, really long ones, so hopefully that'll be good. And I'll talk to you about the bag in just a little bit. The other project that I'm planning on starting is a new owl stuffy, which I haven't picked up the yarn or anything. I'm going to go in my stash in a little while and figure out what I have, since the previous owl stuffy became a hat. So we'll see about that, because that's going to be a simple, easy crochet project that I can do while Linus is crawling all over my lap or running around or whatever. So now the project that you actually get to see, which is spoiler, okay? So if you are doing the Josh Ricks Greek Fire Mystery Knit Along, skip, fast forward, plug your ears, do whatever, ignore. This one is in my Good to Be Girls Ghastly's bag, which apparently is the only bag that's big enough right now. While we were in Oregon, the first shop we went to, it was this cute little bitty, it was basically at a person's house. It was like in like their shed, cottage, whatever, on the side of their house. It was called Knit-A-Bit, and it was in Oregon City, which you have to really, 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 really look for it, because if you're not paying attention, you're going to go right by it, because it's in a neighborhood, a residential neighborhood, attached to someone's house, with no signs, really, except for if you notice it on their mailbox. So we almost passed it up. But loved, oh, if I would have missed that shop, I would have been so upset. I found the perfect yarn there. I went in, found some yarn for another project that I'm going to be doing eventually, which I'll show you in a little while. But I asked them, I said, well, I'm looking for some local yarns. So they're like, well, this one's kind of local. It's in the next state over, I think. So when the other owner came in, she was like, well, is there anything else that y'all needed help with? Anything else I need to go get? And so I asked her, I said, well, is this the only local yarn you have? What other local yarn in stock or anything? She goes, oh, well, I have my own hand-spun yarn that's from my own sheeps and goats out in the back that I sheared and sent and got spun by hand by, and I'm sitting here, I'm like, local, hello, it's from your own stuff in your own backyard. So it's a mixture of stuff. It's mostly wool, but then they have like some cashmere, some silk, just a bunch of random stuff that she just had. So it's all mixed up. They're not even skeined anymore because they're being worked on in a project. Each one was close to 300 yards. One was approximately 302. The other two were like 297. So if I do not have enough yarn to finish this shawl, I am going to be so ticked off. And I will be calling my mother-in-law and telling her, I already told her to go buy me some more. But I will be more insistent. I need it now. But one is this pretty little gray. The other is a dark brown. And the other one is this pretty blue. Which is more that blue than the bright blue when I got closer. It's more that blue. So I am doing the Greek Fire Mystery Shawl by Josh Ricks. never can remember how he pronounces his last name. But, so, bought the yarn. The next day I was like, okay, I am doing the shawl. Those colors are perfect. It calls for 3 colors. It's the shawl. So I got it on the day before the first clue came out. So it was the last day to get it at the $5 price, which is now $6. So, decided to do it, purchased the pattern, got the first pattern download the next day, didn't have the right size needle, didn't have it balled up into yarn or anything, still in Oregon. Like, okay, I'm gonna have to wait until I get home. So I started it this Thursday. So the day before the last podcast, I started it. Or did I do the podcast on Thursday? No, I did it on Friday. I'm still off. I'm still on vacation time. Let's put it to you that way. So started on Thursday. Worked on it in between clothes washing and all that fun stuff. Had 1 row left before I went to bed. So I finished the first clue Friday morning. Got the second clue yesterday. Did clue 2 all in one day. I could not put the stupid thing down. So, here it comes. This is clue 1 and 2, so if you don't want to see, close your eyes, plug your ears, whatever. This is clue 1 and 2. Now, I do have some mistakes because this was technically my first shawl, even though I was going to do the other one as my first shawl. But, I'm getting better. It's very, 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 very pretty. Very geometrical. Geometrical, is that a word? It is a word, though. Which doesn't surprise me, because all his stuff is. Which is not usually my style, but I loved it. I'm loving it. And I'll wear it. It's just, I tend to be more, I guess, frilly. I'm more frilly. I'm more of a frilly girl. So, clue 1 was here, and then clue 2 started with this blue band here and went into the more short rows. But some mistakes along the way, but you can't notice them. I had a hole right around in here that I just kind of filled in because I wasn't fixing to rip back whenever I noticed it. Realized I was doing make ones the totally wrong way for, I don't know, maybe 4 years? I don't know. Since I started knitting, I've been doing make ones wrong this whole time. And I didn't realize it until I did clue 2. So, all my make ones are wrong up until clue 2. But hey, I learned. And now it's going to be fun trying to relearn such a bad habit. But it's pretty, huh? I love it. It's so pretty, and I can't wait. It's gonna be nice. So that is that. I'm using Addi Turbos size 5s, and I'm doing it on a 40-inch because that's just what I had. I can't wait. Now I have to wait a week for clue 3 to come out, which is evil. I guess I shouldn't have worked on it so quickly, but I started working on it and I just couldn't put it down. It's like, what's going to happen next? What's going to happen next? So, I just dropped the yarn. I do have one ball of yarn still attached because he did not say to break it yet, and so it is still attached. Now I'm trying to get it back in the bag. Where did it go? Oh, it went way across the room. That'll just sit there until I can go get the yarn. Okay. So, guess that will lead us into stash enhancements. which there's quite a bit because I had so much fun on the trip and I kept buying and buying and buying. And my husband kept looking at me like, more? Are you really getting more? And I'm like, of course. Gotta buy yarn. If I would have known about all this stuff on our previous trips and all, I would just have so much yarn. So also at Knit a Bit, I bought some Fiber Natura Sea Song, which you may have seen this on an episode about a month ago. My mother-in-law and father-in-law had found the shop and bought me a couple things from it, which this was one of them. So the plan is to, I'm not going to tell you what the plan is. I'm going to surprise you. I'm just going to show you the yarn right now. So it is 80% cotton, 20% seashell, which is a kelp fiber. And the colorway is 40107, and I bought 6 of these. And it's like this olive green color. And then I also bought some Plymouth yarn Clio, which is 100% mercerized Prima cotton. And it is color 117. And I bought 2 of these, and it's got a shine to it, if you can see. Like this pretty burnt orange color. It's got a shine. I bought 2 of these. If I don't have enough for the project I'm doing, I'll just get the mother-in-law to go and buy some more. Because it just, when I was looking at the pattern, it just didn't seem like I would need that much yarn for the places that it was showing me. So I bought less. And if I need more, I'll go have her go buy some more. So that is. Oh, and the hand spun on the receipt, they're saying it's Fantasy Fibers. So I don't know if she actually has her own yarn name that she does it or not, but I'll have to go look. That was a steal buying that. I want more. So the next yarn store that we went to, let me get that one, was the Yarn Garden, and that one was in Portland. And they didn't really have, excuse me while I've been down to get the yarn, any local yarns there. They had some local handmade buttons, but I have so many bags and tins of buttons that I don't use hardly at all, so I didn't want any more buttons. Let's put it up here. That'll be easier. So I bought a bunch of yarn that was on clearance. I've actually used this yarn before and I really liked it. It's the Classic Elite Yarn Pebbles, and I believe this particular style of yarn of theirs is been discontinued, which is probably why it was on clearance. It was like $3 a piece, so I went crazy. I got, let's see, they had one of these, this color, just there, like kind of like that. It's color 2839, and it's kind of like a brownishy green, a pale brown green. I got one of white, which is color 2801. I got 2 of this kind of light brown tan color. It's not showing up. Which is color 2806. Got this bright green, which is color 2815. And I got this yellowy green color, which is color 2835. And they are all made of 75% cotton and 25% acrylic. So those are going to be some more sweaters for my son. I really liked how those worked up and wash well and feel after he wears them. So those will wind up being some more sweaters for him. I also, not at a yarn store, but at, what's it called? I think it was Fabric Depot. It was like this huge fabric store. But my son was running around with the hubby, and he found these little dinosaur buttons. And he picked them out himself. He found them, he picked them out. And once he found me, he started going, Dino, 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 Dino. So I'll be making some sort of a little sweater for him with these. So if you have any ideas, that would be wonderful, because I don't know exactly what I'm going to do yet. I have a couple things on my queue that looked interesting, but who knows. Okay. Other fabric store, or not fabric store, yarn store, which was, let's see, what was it called? It was Happy Knits in Portland, which is, it's like a block down from the Yarn Garden, so they're probably competitors, which I should show you. I did take a picture of the fronts of both of the stores. Let me see. Let me get that up real quick. That's the Yarn Garden. And this was Happy Knits. So that's that. Happy Knits seem to be more geared towards Madeline Tosh and some of the more high-end fibers, whereas the Happy Knits was geared more towards like Madeline Tosh and Malabrigo, higher-end type stuff, and the Yarn Garden was more like your mid-range. It seemed like yarns. They did have some higher end stuff, but they didn't have like the Madeline Tosh or anything. The Yarn Garden was more like my yarn store. Not Joann's and Hobby Lobby yarns, but not like the super luxury yarns. More in between phase, it seemed like to me. That's what it seemed like to me. But Happy Knits did have some local hand-dyed yarns. I picked out 4, got my husband to pare it down to 2, and then my mother-in-law snuck in and went and got one of the other ones that I was thinking about and bought it for me and gave it to me. So, yay, but so the 2 that I wound up getting, the brand is Black Trillium Fibers. And it looks like you can also, oh man, all of a sudden nose itches, on Etsy, which I'll put that in the show notes. And it's the Maryland Sock Base, which is 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon. Each skeins about 425 yards, which is 100 grams. Okay, that looks like about all that. So I got Star. So it's like these dark blues and kind of golden yellow colors and stuff. So that's that one. This is going to be some socks for my husband. I figured I'm buying all this yarn. Each person has to have a project. So my son got the Pebbles yarn. This will be my husband's because it looks more masculine than any of the other yarns I got. Then I got Beach Glass, which is like these pretty teal blues and greens and stuff. Just little bitty washes of color. So I got that. And then one of the other ones that I was looking at, you know, Nate was asking me, well, what are you going to plan on doing? I'm like, well, I was thinking just to do some socks, maybe a shawl or something like that. So he picked out these two, and then he looks at one of the other ones, and he's like, well, why'd you pick this one? And I'm like, because it just looked so fun. It looked like it would be so fun to knit up and all. So this one is Bifrost, which is all these bright colors, all mixed together, all kinds of randomness in there. I didn't even ask to see if they were self-striping or not. Assuming it's just going to be all variegated. Man, my nose itches all of a sudden. But this just looked super, super fun. I mean, how can you not have fun with those bright colors? So I got that one as a gift from my mother-in-law, who wasn't supposed to do that. I got away with not letting her do much of that at all, and then she went ahead and did it without me realizing it. And they also had a yarn crawl there the weekend before, which I was not aware of, which I would have loved. But they had a couple patterns left over from the yarn crawl, so they let me have one. It's Lad Circle Cow by Sarah Young, and that's what it looks like. So I will be eventually, here's another little pic of it. Try not to get the pattern in there. So I'll eventually try and figure out this, because it looks fun and cute, and looks like it'll probably be a fairly simple knit. So that is the yarny goodness. I did get some books. I'm trying to get all the yarn fiber stuff before I start getting into sewing that I picked up. So the yarny fiber books that I got over at Pals, I was hoping to find Fit to Flatter at a used book price, but it wasn't. But I did find another book that I was planning on getting, and I had another book I had my eye on. And I wanted to get one knitting and one crocheting book. And I didn't want to have to spend too much money because, you know, Pals, it's a used bookstore. I want to buy used books. I don't want to have to buy them new. It's new and used, and I want to get it used because I'm cheaper. So the book that I got for knitting is Knits for Nerds. And there's a lot of cute things in here that I want to do. But the main thing I got it for, which I'm going to show you, the awesomeness that I'm going to make for me and my husband eventually. Hopefully not too far into the future, is the Next Generation sweater from the Star Trek Next Generation. Will be for my hubby. And then I want to do the Trek Girl dress. And then we can cosplay. That would be so fun. Love it, love it. So that's one book that I picked up. And the person, the author, it says Joan of Dark, aka Toni Carr. So that'll be getting some use soon. And then the other book that I picked up, since I had to get, man, my nose, one knitting and one crocheting book. I got 101 crochet motifs, blocks, projects, and ideas. I was looking for one of these, but the majority of them were like $20 and up. Well, this one wasn't. This one was like $12. Don't know if it was a used one or, yeah, it says used on the bottom. I see it. Okay, so it was a used one, so that's why I got it so cheap. But it has some really, really awesome granny squares and motifs and stuff that I am just dying to start trying to do. I mean, okay, just for instance, look how cool that is. And look how cool that is. So I'm going to have fun with that. and eventually work it into something. Other books that I bought at some of the actual used bookstores, little used bookstores that we found. We stopped at like 3 or 4 of them. I got into finding 1950s knitting and crocheting magazines. So, I'll just flash them up there. From the 1950s. And sock one. And then I accidentally got 2 of the same one, just in different colors. And someone has their address up there, so I'm going to try and hide that. So, I'm going to eventually, after I get these other 2 giveaways done, have a giveaway for the extra book that I accidentally bought. So, that'll come up maybe next month. We'll do a giveaway for that. So I can't wait to do some of this stuff. I have been dying to make some items from patterns from the 1950s. That would just be just awesome. So those are all the yarny goodness, I believe. This bag that I showed y'all a couple days ago was by Knitting Geisha, and it's Star Trek themed, and it's awesome. Let's see, what else? Oh, also on the trip, we're getting out of yarn stuff. Didn't really do any paper crafting yet because I haven't had time. But I did buy some fabric to start trying to learn to sew. I haven't sewed anything since home ec in high school, freshman year of high school. So that was like maybe 15 to 20 years ago. I'm not fixing to try and figure out all that, so I'm just going to say 15 to 20 years. And then you kind of have, really, how old is she? Which I don't really care. But, so, I bought a couple half yards. I got this pretty brown and blue polka spots, and this really pretty kind of vintagey looking pattern with flowers on it, and then these pretty birds. And then my mother-in-law bought a couple, I think she bought some fat quarters. I think that's what they're called. I don't really know my sewing terms yet. Like I said, I hadn't touched a sewing machine in 15 to 20 years, and that was only in home ec. So, but she bought this one with these fun squirrels that I fell in love with, so of course she gave it to me. So, I actually, this morning, prompted by Mando Bug Crafts sew along that she is doing. So if you watch Mando Bug Crafts, or if you don't watch Mando Bug Crafts, she is doing a project bag sew along. So that prompted me, after finding that material. I wasn't going to do it because I don't really sew, but I found the material and I'm like, I'm going to do it. My mother-in-law convinced me that I could do it. Well, I did it. I had a couple mistakes, but I did it. And I am very proud of my first ever project bag. So I did the birds as the bottom, and then the flowers as the accent, and then on the inside I have the blue dots. So I just did a squared bottom, I guess it's called squared bottom, drawstring bag. And first off, I don't have a lot of room to do any sewing. So I was doing it on our little bitty kitchen table. And so I didn't really have all that much room to really spread everything out, make sure I had everything flat. So I cut some of the things not quite right. They were either a little too big. I didn't get any of them too small though, thankfully. So whenever I was sewing it up, you know, they kind of, some of them turned out not quite the same size, I guess, maybe. So I have some puckering, and it's mainly on the inside the puckering is. And of course, if you can tell, some of my lines aren't quite straight with the sewing. And then if you look closely enough, I think this side is a little bit lower than this side. But I also had a mess up right there. Let's see. I got a little bit of a pucker there and just went over it, and oh well. I'm very happy with it. So yay! I think it's beautiful. It's lovely, and it was so quick and instant gratification that I will continue to practice sewing and trying to make some more. So I may start trying to give away, because this is really the only fabric I have right now. So until I get some more, I may have multiples of the same bag, and if they're not too horrible, I may either put them up on my Etsy shop and sell them as practice bags for like super cheap, just to see if anybody wants something cheap, or maybe even give them away to y'all for just for fun. They're not great bags. They're practice, but I am super pleased with how it turned out. It got me to relearn how to use a sewing machine. And I figured out drawstrings, and it's so cute. It's got the birds, and purples and pinks and blues are some of my favorite colors. It just works so well together. So I did that. I did it today. I did it in like a couple hours. So sewing is super instant gratification. Loved it. And I think that is all the craft stuff. So if you want to stick around for gaming, then stick around. If not, I'll talk to y'all later. But we also hit some game stores on our trip to Oregon. We hit one really small one, which I don't even remember what that one was called. And it was mostly, man, my nose will just stop itching today, huh? It was mostly like war game type stuff with minifigures and magic and stuff. They didn't really have all that much in the way of board games. But then we went to a game store in Portland. Let's see if I can see who. I think it was like Galactic Games, I'm wanting to say it was called. Let's see. Let's see if I can hurry up. I think it was Galactic Games, but it's in Portland, Oregon. And let me tell you, that store is ginormous. We're lucky we have some local game stores. And this puts our local game stores to shame. It is almost an entire block in Oregon, in Portland. It was huge. It had like a bazillion bookshelves of new games, and then they had a little area for used games, and then they had their minifigs and their magic stuff, and a big, huge gaming area, and it looked like they had an even bigger gaming area in the back for like special events and stuff. So of course we had to go buy games, which is what I'm going to talk to y'all about. I'm not going to really go into too much gameplay on anything, because most of them we haven't played before, and the other ones, it's going to be too long. So I'll just kind of give y'all some explanations on why we chose these games. First game is actually an expansion. We got Mechanus-Burgo Expansion 2, Mutants on Mars. And we got this, of course, because we have Mechanus-Burgo. We have a couple little expansions for it. We've only ever played the game once, and that was at BGG Con, which is Board Game Geek convention, which they do the weekend before Thanksgiving every year in Texas, which is huge. And it's not like your typical board game convention. It's more, here's tons and tons and tons of open space to play games. Here is a huge game closet collection that you can pick whatever game you want from and go play. And I mean, like, thousands of games. And you go and play. And of course they have other events and stuff, but that's what we did. One of the games that was in the library was Mechanicsburgo, which is something that we've been wanting to try. We only went once, and it was a couple years ago. It was the year while I was pregnant for Linus. So it was like almost 3 years ago. So we played it once over there. Loved it. The other people we were playing with, I think, kind of despised it. But Nate and I loved it to death. And Nate's mom got it for us for Christmas a year last year before last, something like that. And we knew we were going to get the game eventually, so we had bought a couple little mini expansions that were promos there that we bought, and so then we got the base game, and now we have the expansion 2. And it's kind of, I don't know if I would want to call it steampunk, but it's kind of like that feel, like a steampunk, alien, type of game. And it's a worker placement game, but it's like a really, really long worker placement game. But it was super fun. And eventually one day we will get a chance to play it again. Many years down the road when Linus will let us play a game that will take almost all day. So, we got this one. Other things we got. Let's see. I'll put this one, that'll be one of the last ones I discuss. We got Starships and Merchants, and it is by Tom Leachman and Joseph Huber. It is, from the way Nate described it to me, it's kind of like an 18XX game, but card game wise set in space. I'll show you the back, and that's what they show what it's like. Haven't played it yet. Nate said it was pretty much an average running rate for the game, so we went ahead and got it. Excited to try it. I like space themed things. I like fantasy themed things. I like almost anything. So this will hopefully get played soon. It says it's a 2-player game, so hopefully, maybe. And I just think it's got cool box art. So that'll just sit up there because it's got cool box art. The other game we got was Viva Java, the coffee game. Nate, this is another type of worker placement type game, I think Nate said. And it's all about, I guess, making coffee. Finding that perfect blend of beans to create the next bestseller in the coffee houses and kitchens of the world. But this game is a harder to find game, but this was in the new section, so it was at basically the standard retail price at gaming shops. So we paid $55 for this one, which if you go online and try and find it, since most online retail stores do not have it anymore because it's it's not in print anymore. I think that's what Nate said. I think it's not in print anymore. And so whatever inventory they had, if it's gone, it's gone. So if people who are selling it secondhand are asking upwards to $80 to $90 for it. So if we don't like it, we make some money, which is great. But I'm pretty sure we'll probably like it. Or at least I will like it, and Nate would be the one who wouldn't, because I'm the one who likes almost anything except for abstract games. And Nate's a lot more picky. But Viva Java! Sounds fun. Viva Java! Viva Java! And the other game we got, which we actually already own, but we still bought it, is The Lord of the Rings. It is, it's a cooperative game that can also kind of be, you know, trying to see who does the best within the cooperative game. But if you can just beat the cooperative game, I think you're doing good. Which I still have the price tag on it. Or Nate still has the price tag on it. Like I said, we already own this game. We've played it several times. It's very difficult just being 2-player cooperative. When we played it, I think a 4-player cooperative game, it worked a lot better. But we were in the used section, and we were looking, and then they didn't really see anything that stuck out to them. And then after we picked out our new games, Nate went back and just to double check, make sure he didn't miss anything. I'm sorry, I'm peeling off price tags. And then he's like, well, let me look in the box. Meaning, look in this box to see if it has the expansion in it. Because a lot of times when someone gets a base game and then gets the expansion, they toss out the box for the expansion and just put everything in the base game if it fits. And you can't get the expansion, really, at all. It's not in print. The expansion in and of itself is $55 or up. So he's like, well, let's just look and see. Lo and behold, it had the full expansion in the base game box. They wanted the whole game for $35 with the expansion in it. I'm almost thinking that they didn't realize that the expansion was in it. So we have an extra base game that we'll probably offer up for trade or sell or something. It'd have to only be for pieces though, because the special die that is in here is missing, and one of the hobbits is broken. Which oddly enough, it's the blue hobbit, which I think was Mary. I think Mary was the blue one that they picked in this. And in our base game, the blue hobbit was broken. So apparently there's something with the blue hobbits that just breaks. But because of that, Nate asked and he goes, well, do you think that they would take a little bit less because it's missing the die and the hobbit's broken? So we could only sell it or anything for pieces. I told him, I said, give it to me, let me go see. So I went up and I asked them, I said, did y'all realize that the die is missing and one of the hobbits is broken for this? So she looks and she's like, oh, it is, huh? And she's like, well, let me see if maybe by some chance we have it. By some chance, you know, you get random game pieces and things sometimes. Or someone drops something out or whatever. So, no luck there. And she couldn't tell if, when they priced it, they knew it had a missing die and a broken piece, because they had just implemented putting a sticky note on the front of the boxes to say what all was in it or if anything was missing. So I got 5%, 10%. I think it was 10% off. So we paid like right at like $31 for it, and got a $55 expansion in it. I don't complain when people give me things cheaper. It never hurts to ask. You never know. They can tell you no. We were going to buy it anyways. even at the $35 price, so just got a couple bucks off. So we got that, which will get played. And the other fun thing we got while we were there was Linus kept going and finding these. Let me go get them, actually. Kept going and grabbing all these big, huge foam dice. They had bags of them, and you got 7 of them in a bag, so you got 1 of each type. And he kept going and grabbing them and bringing them to Nate, and then going, more dice, more die, Daddy, more die. And then he would go and grab another bag and bring it back to him. So we're like, you gotta get it for him. So we got a bunch of die. We got the D4, a D10, or actually 2 D10s, but one of the D10s is just the 10s. 10, 20, 0, 10, 20, 30, 40, whatever. Got a D20, a D6, a D7, and a D8, I believe. I think that was what we got. And a bunch of different colors. You can see that that's the 10s place one. So, that's, I think, ooh, dropping things. Oh, I'm just dropping everything. I always drop things, huh? So I think that is probably about everything. Yeah. I didn't get any gameplays in really this week. The most I did was while we were on the plane, we attempted to play Ticket to Ride on my phone, and we're almost finished. Linus wakes up from his nap, so you know, whatever. I just started a game of Agricola online on my phone with some other members of BGG, so that'll be fun. And Lee, if you drop out again, yes, you're probably not even watching this, but Lee, do not drop out again. I want to finish my game. So no real playing. We do have, a game set up on the table right now, if you can see. We are test playing a game that someone is designing on Board Game Geek, and I guess Nate's opinion is well valued. So he gets asked to test some games every now and then and make suggestions on new things. So we started that before we left, and we haven't finished it. But he's already made some suggestions, and we may restart it with maybe some corrections to some things. Nate basically printed it all out. It's a PNP copy, which means the person didn't send us a copy or anything. Nate printed all the maps and everything out and janked pieces from other games to have the pieces for it. So, but it's really fun, and if it ever comes out in print, I will definitely have more information for you on it. So that is all for sure, for real. So if you're still watching and you're a crafter too, go check out Ravelry and join the 2 giveaways for, well, you just have to join the group for the hand carved stamp, but for the Capistrano Fiber Arts yarn, you need to go and actually post in the thread. And I may do a special gaming type giveaway at some point in time. So just stay tuned. Who knows what I'll come up with? I come up with all kinds of crap. So, bye friends!